Fingers crossed, holding my breath. Hello, we are live. Had to make a quick change on that. Sorry for the delay. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we are here. I'm here anyway, and I am about to invite our guests, Melissa Gonski, who has a million letters after her name, and Sue Page, who needs no letters after her name. So if you want to grab a pen or some paper and get ready, we are going to get started in just a moment. Just give me 1 second to get them in on the stream, and we will get going shortly. So grab whatever you need to. We're gonna have some awesome tips on anxiety, anti-anxiety, not pro-anxiety, but also maybe we'll learn a little bit about what anxiety is good for and why we have it in the first place. So while you're tuning in, if you want to type in where you are dialing in from, that would be awesome, just so we can see where you're calling in from. And yeah, just curious to see where everybody's tuning in from this morning. And I'm sure Melissa and Sue think that I have gone rogue, which I have a little bit, but it's just to get online so you guys can get started. So yeah, please let me know where you are watching from as we get started, and we'll get started momentarily. Also, as we get started, I would like to tell you, in case you're new to this platform, you can see us, but we can't see you. So if you're feeling like it's a no pants day, that's totally fine. Also, wanted to let you know that I will be your voice. So if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat, and I can ask those questions for you then. Hold on one moment while we get everyone settled. Today is going to be one of those days, folks, and it's perfect that we're talking about anxiety because mine is through the roof right now. Only because of how this chat is going. So, all right, as they are dialing in, they now have the password and login info. I want to tell you a little bit about Pathways. For those of you who are new, if this is your first time, welcome to Lemonade Session 9. And it is great having you here. You don't need to have watched the first 8 sessions. You can always go back and watch later. And also, I would like to say that if you are enjoying what you're seeing, that's awesome. We have some folks to thank for that, and that is Pathways to a Better World, which is a nonprofit I'm going to tell you about in a moment. For those of you who are new to Pathways, we've been around for over 35 years. Over 45,000 people have gone through our seminars in person, and that also means that we do things in person. So once all of this is over and we are back in the rooms together, if you are interested in coming to one of our weekend seminars, it would be great to see you all live and in person at a safe distance, or however we end up adapting after that. I also want to say that we're going to have some exciting announcements at the end of today's Lemonade session about some virtual classes that are coming your way, and some really exciting ones, some ones that I've never taken before and I'm looking forward to. So very excited about that. But before we get started, I want to, and while Sue is joining, I want to tell you a little bit about the Lemonade sessions. They were created by Pathways to Successful Living and are now being sponsored by a grant from Pathways to a Better World. And A Better World is a 501c3 nonprofit organization overseen by a volunteer board of Pathways grads. that provides support to people who would like to attend Pathways courses but need financial assistance. And I believe that also includes our online classes as well. So think about that as we get to the end. The Pathways to a Better World believes that the Lemonade Sessions offers a great value to grads and non-grads alike during these uncertain times when in-person courses are not available. So thank you so much to A Better World. It's been wonderful having the support of all of you in our new venture into trying out the Lemonade Sessions. And I also wanted to just let you know, Sue will be joining us shortly, that my name's Turin. I figure I should keep introducing myself in case you are new this time. My name is Turin. I am a grad of Pathways. I've been involved for about 7 years, and I'm in New York City. If you hear sirens, everything's fine. That's just the sounds of New York. And I am very excited to be joined by Melissa Gonski, who has, like I said, a lot of letters after her name. And Sue will be joining us as well in a moment as soon as I help her log in. But Melissa, do you want to introduce yourself while we wait for Sue?
Sure, I'd love to. My name's Melissa Gonski, and I am a licensed clinical professional counselor. So that takes care of 4 of the letters. And then I also have a certification in perinatal mental health, which is another one. And I've been doing this work for about 15 years. I currently work in a private practice, but in the past I've worked in residential, partial hospitalizations, and IOPs as well. I work with a lot of kids as young as 3, and then as old as whoever wants to report their age, I guess. So definitely a wide range as well. And my master's is in clinical psychology.
That's great. Do you want to tell us a little bit about why you thought anxiety would be a great topic for you to chat on?
Sure. Yeah. So, with all these things going on with the pandemic and the health concerns, one of the biggest things that can trigger anxiety is uncertainty. And so since we're all living through the uncertainty, thought it'd be helpful to be able to talk about how to work through some anxiety, depression that might be going on, seeing a lot of people struggle with different things.
Yeah, and are you still seeing clients during all of this?
Yeah, so my practice, we are 100% telehealth right now, and Zoom is a favorable platform because they offer a telehealth that's HIPAA compliant. So it's a separate one for telehealth providers that make sure that it's secure and confidential.
Awesome. Very cool. So for those of you who are tuning in, if you do have questions for Melissa, she and Sue have some things that they've prepared to talk about. So we will be going off of those questions if anybody has questions they want to ask, but also, we've got some questions prepared and can chat about. And I see Sue is joining us now. So perfect. Welcome, Sue.
Thanks.
Glad you're in. I was saying this is perfect because it's causing me a lot of anxiety, which means I'll have a lot of questions to ask all of you. So we just heard from Melissa. She introduced herself a bit and told us why she thought anxiety was a good topic for today. So do you want to introduce yourself, Sue, and tell us a little bit more about why you are excited about anxiety today?
Because I'm anxious today, getting in here? No. So my name's Sue Page. I am the owner of Pathways, which has been around for a total of 34 years. Over 45,000 people have attended the seminars and changed their lives, many of them. So for me, I think just getting phone calls and talking with grads that anxiety is such a big topic right now, and it's sort of mixed with depression. So it's like both are going hand in hand, and the more anxious someone gets, they finally have to shut down into depression because it's so difficult to actually handle that anxiety. They just don't know what to do with it. And I think so much of it right now is due to the unknown. Like there's no answers. There's no answers. Like, when do we get out? Or when is this going to end? Or are we going to find a cure? Or, am I going to get sick? Am I going to have enough money? I mean, money is a huge issue right now because of everything being shut down. And so many people are not working. They're out of work. And where does my next paycheck? Where do I get the food? Just so many things, that are rumbling around, and there's no answers. And there's nowhere to go to get an answer. So that creates an amazing amount of stress for people in every single day. And so I think that having the two of us on here, Melissa being an amazing professional that deals with so many different topics and can help people sort of move through some of these things, which is why I asked her to be on here. So I just think that today we can deal with, what are the things that are causing you anxiety out there? And maybe we can give you some things to sort of derail that anxiety or depression, handle it a little bit differently, a little bit better. And so that's why we're here today and dealing with this topic. It's massive out there.
Yeah. I thought I had things to be anxious about, and then you just listed about 4 more things that I should have on my list. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We wanted to generate a lot of anxiety, and we'll see you next week. So what can we do about this?
Which one would you, about the anxiety?
Yeah, actually, let's start with this. What are we doing wrong? What are the ways maybe that we think that we're helping our anxiety where we're actually causing more of it? I think that would be a great place to start.
Do you want me to start, Mel?
Sure.
So for me, I think what I'm hearing are people are constantly tuning into the news and trying to find out, like, what's next? What's going to happen? Where's the relief? And all they're finding is absolutely more chaos, more name calling, more negativity. And the negativity just amps up the anxiety. So I think that's one of the biggest ways. I think also not having any physical contact with people is creating a lot of anxiety, that because we're not a society that doesn't have contact. And so even though we might be doing Zoom or things like that, we're not able to touch someone if we're not living with them and we're living alone. Someone talked to me the other day that was living alone and said, what happens if I get sick and I can't call anybody? Am I just going to die here alone? I mean, things like that are things people are dealing with on an everyday level. Reading the paper, any kind of news coming in from the outside, people that have already lost loved ones, that's a huge thing that amps up the anxiety, because we can't go to a funeral, we can't say goodbye, we can't, I just think not having money, not knowing where money is coming from. I don't think those are some of the things that we could actually shift, or like not having money, we're waiting for the government to send out money. Having our loved ones actually front and center with the COVID, I think causes a lot of anxiety for people who have people on, that are police, firemen, nurses, doctors, any of that. So for me, those are things. What about you, Melissa? What do you see are some of the things that sort of create more of it?
Well, I think a lot of what ifs. So kind of like what you were talking about with the person that had said, I'm living alone, and they might not have said the words what if, but it was implied. So anytime we're catching ourselves saying what if, that's usually an anxious thought, or I should be doing this, I should be doing that. anytime you can kind of hear that, it's a good way to check yourself. Okay, so we're not going to live in the what ifs because they're not happening yet. They're not happening now. They might never happen. And so it's a good way to kind of bring it back down. And maybe if you need to break up your day more, like, you know, between now and 5 o'clock, I'm not going to check the news. I'm not going to check my phone. You know, I think when we look at every, you know, the whole time that we have to stay, it can be overwhelming. But if we can just break it up into smaller chunks, they feel more obtainable. And knowing that we're all living with uncertainty, we don't have to kind of branch out and think of every possibility of it, though.
Are there other things you're noticing with your clients, Melissa, or just in general that with your friends that maybe we're doing that's unknowingly amping up our anxiety besides watching the news?
Yeah, so another one is staying inside a lot, like literally in our house. So if there's ways to get outside, to see it, even if you just switch rooms to get a new sense of scenery, but also, you know, engaging in, you know, drinking excessively. A lot of times people think that will calm them down, but that actually ramps up the anxiety. So anytime there's panic or anything like that, there's, you know, really just riding the wave of that anxiety until it can calm down is the best route. Or if you are prescribed certain medications for that, then that's okay. But there's a myth, I think, that alcohol calms those anxiety thoughts, and they don't.
Good to know.
I think one other thing would be like no routine. So you have no routine, so you're just kind of aimlessly wandering, and then all the thoughts come in, versus having some type of a routine. And as Melissa said, saying, okay, I'm going to exercise from this time to this time. I'm going to read during this time. I'm going to work during these times. I'm going to work with the kids if you have kids during these times. I think the routine helps everyone in the house.
Yeah, great point. And those of you who are commenting, I will get to your questions in a moment. But if you also want to add in anything that you're doing that you've noticed is helping your anxiety. Annette said that going to Walmart causes anxiety. So today she tried something new and thanked all the people working and smiled, and it helped her tons. So if there's anything that you've been doing out in your life where anxiety is unavoidable and you found some ways to temper it a little bit, then go ahead and share those in the chat as well. Yeah. Yeah, so what else can we be doing then to help us, you know, with this anxiety? What tools can we be using or anything like that? I'll kick it off to Melissa first, Sue, since you got the last one first.
Yeah, so you know, some of what we were describing as far as, you know, what works best for you, I would say some of the anxiety I've been hearing, especially from parents and stuff, is they have to follow these schedules that everybody's been posting for their kids, where they're like 1 hour chunks, and depends on your kids. So to be kind of flexible with that as far as what you need best. You know, for me, getting up and showering and getting dressed every day works. My 7-year-old was kind of wondering why I was getting dressed every day since I wasn't leaving the house. So that doesn't work necessarily for him, and that's okay, but kind of picking your battles. And then kind of like what Annette said, it's refocusing on stuff that you can control, that you do have choices in, and instead of focusing on all those things that you don't. So it could be, I'm going to change up my schedule today, but I'm still going to have some boundaries around it so that I feel like I have stuff I know that I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm. To me, adding in meditation and exercise would be two of the best ways to handle the anxiety. Exercise, because it, you know, when we're anxious, it all gets caught like inside our bodies, and then we feel like it's hard to breathe, it's hard to move, it's hard to think, all those things happen. And so actually doing any kind of physical exercise, whether it's inside or outside, it doesn't matter what you're doing, as long as what you're doing is sort of moving your arms, your legs, all of that is crucially important to remove some of the energy that's getting caught in our chest, because that's where the fear lives, right here. And so then my breath gets short. So doing some kind of meditation that helps you breathe deeper, relax your body, exercise relaxes your body once you're done. And so those, to me, are two of the key things that you can do to sort of get back to a centered place.
And also looking at what kind of exercise works best for you. So it depends on the person. If you need to have a lot of output, so kind of high intensity, or do you need something that's more calming, like yoga, or do you need to jump on a trampoline? And I think listening to your body and knowing what you need most, that would help calm the anxiety.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. There's been so many athletes putting out workout things and guidance, and one of the ones that I've been enjoying is a little bit sillier, but it is the 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 Central to Pacific dance party on Instagram by one of Lady Gaga's backup dancers. It's like a workout and a dance party, and it's been a great anxiety breaker as well. So do you want to share some things? Do you want to take some questions? How do you want to handle the rest of our time together?
Well, why don't we take some questions first to make sure that we're getting to some of the things that they would like to talk about.
Okay, great. So this one is for Melissa. It's from Marlo. She says that Sue knows about this, but Stephen and I just lost our baby. I was 12 weeks along. I'm having a hard time, especially because I'm such a people person. Not being able to have hugs and get my energy from people has been really hard.
That is really tough. I'm really sorry to hear about that. That is just heartbreaking. And I think, being honest about where you're at and not feeling, bad, or again, like those shoulds, I shouldn't be upset or stuff like that. It's good to kind of challenge that and honor where you're at, but also there are support avenues too. There's Postpartum Support International, which is for any kind of issue related to pregnancy, loss, and they have free support groups as well online. If you wanted to check that out too, to be able to have support in that way.
Yeah, there's so many things that you can do, Marlo, and you just got to keep reaching out, sweetheart. Sometimes the people around us aren't the ones that can give us what we need in those moments, and we've got to find it somewhere else. And you're in that situation right now so that he can go to work and you can handle the things that are going on for you. And if you handle most of it, he'll be there for you as well. But you need to make sure that you're getting what you need, sweetie. And I'm glad you're here.
So we have another couple of pieces that people have shared that they've done, which I'll share in a moment. But one of the questions came from Jason, who is an essential worker, and he's felt more anxiety not being able to hug the people I love and feel close to my heart. And also he's felt a lot of anxiety around being an essential worker and going into multiple homes a day. He said, I've noticed my trust in people has been shaky with fear of those what ifs. What if they're sick and not telling me? What if I'm carrying and don't know and spreading? Centering and reminding myself these are what ifs is helping, but definitely challenging.
Melissa, you want to handle that one for a minute?
Yeah. So sometimes what happens is, you do the what if, and then you stop at the fear. So I'd encourage you to kind of, when you peak up at that anxiety, to follow through with, okay, so let's say one of those happens. What would be your action of what you would do, so that you could follow through and have kind of an answer, and knowing that you're doing the best with what you have right now. You're protecting yourself and whatever protocols your work is suggesting for you. But to be able to know that piece of it. And if you need to go there and in your head, check it, like, okay, if this happens, this is what I'll do.
And one of the important things, Jason, is that when you do get home, strip and jump into the shower immediately, so that when you come out, soap and water is one of the best ways to release all the stuff that you may have picked up during the day. Put those clothes right in the washer or in a bag that's outside that, you can pick up afterwards. um, whether you're going to reuse them the next day or you're going to go and wash them, but to protect the people that you love, doing it in those ways.
Heard it here, folks. Sue says stripping is good for anxiety.
Oh, true.
Maybe I'll get a poll installed while this is going on. That's essential, right? So Kelsey says, I'm so anxious about not getting back to work. Being at home is such a struggle between homeschooling and being around my family 24/7, which is such a huge risk to admit, but is so true for me.
I don't think you're alone, Kelsey. So many people feel that exact same way, that, you know, the stress of becoming a teacher to your children who react differently to you than they would to a teacher. It's much more difficult. And one of the suggestions that I would have for you is to get yourself outside in the fresh air alone, and or take your kids outside and take a walk, make up a game, do something like a scavenger hunt that can be fun while you're actually outside sort of taking a break. Mel, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, definitely still making time for yourself, Kelsey, as even if it's a half hour here and there without the kids, because it's, you know, I get it. I'm a mom at home as well with two kids, and it feels like there's no separation or break, be able to do that. I also, you know, did something like I dropped something off at my friend's, like a candle to relax, just giving someone something else to kind of get outside and, you know, not drive by myself. It was very nice. So little stuff like that. I think too, talking to other parents so that you know that you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate your honesty too. So I think a lot of people have a hard time admitting that.
And I would also add staying off social media, where people are posting how amazing they are at parenting and how they've baked fresh sourdough while they're teaching their kids about science and done a million things, because you know, sometimes we post a version of ourselves that we want to be on social media. So not stressing about
And then
yourself to them.
and then we compare ourselves to those people and say, well, I'm not a good mother. And that's not true. I mean, we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. And so there may be places where you're really strong that those people are not. And stop comparing. You are who you are, and you need to fulfill whatever needs you have, just like any other parent needs to fulfill those needs. And I too am a parent of 4, and I'm really happy that mine are all on their own. Oh, that's a terrible thing to say, but
Is it?
true.
I think one of the quotes I heard, which was great, it was, you know, when you're looking through, you know, people's highlight reels, you're comparing your worst day to their best.
Mm-hmm.
Good to remember that.
Yeah,
that they're posting their best.
Yeah. I heard a really great quote also of people thinking about all the like, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. Don't should on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think is another great one. And Kelsey says, thank you. That's been a thought of I'm not good enough that I've had a lot lately. Yeah.
Let it go, girl. You are good enough.
So Jason said that he's also been struggling with being able to express in the moment when he needs his space, because he knows he's going to have an anxiety attack. And he said, I know it's anxiety, and being around my significant other has myself feeling bad and hard on myself for feeling so anxious. And I come across more like I'm running away or pushing my partner away rather than taking time to heal myself and reground myself. That's not what I want to create with my partner. So do you
Mel?
Sure. What did you say, Trin?
Yeah. Do you have any tips on asking for that space?
Yeah, I think, you know, if it's an anxiety attack versus a panic attack, then that usually means that it's escalating over time. So there's a source of it, and then it gets bigger and bigger. Whereas a panic attack is typically what happens is it comes out of nowhere and it's intense right away. So I would say, Jason, if you're having the typical anxiety attack, then to be more aware, a lot of times we feel it first in our bodies. So if you notice you feel and carry your anxiety in your stomach or your head, chest, to be able to say that first. And I think talking and being open with your partner about it so that they know that, you know, the break helps, that is part of you taking care of yourself. And I think I would assume that your partner would want you to have that.
And you want to have those conversations when you're not in the midst of it. So you want to have a conversation like that when you're calm and cool, and then give signals, you know, like just saying, I'm going to do this signal if I'm, you know, and it could be this, you know, and it could be anything, it could be this, and then take a break. And that way your partner knows what's going on and you don't have to talk about it. You just give a signal and they know.
Great thoughts. We're getting a lot of really great comments and questions. I'm going to share a couple of the suggestions and things that have been working for some of the viewers in terms of reducing their own anxiety, and then get to some more questions from them. In 1 second, Jason says, yes, I do notice those. And usually I try to stop it early, but I should answer when I feel it immediately. So I guess that resonated with Jason. Lots of really fun ideas coming out of our fans. I'll call them our fans. Maybe we call them what, lemon heads or something. So Storm says unplugging is so important. And she's been doing a bunch of projects out in the sun. So fishing, she started a veggie garden for the first time. If anything grows, it'll be a miracle, but it's fun seeing the growth each day in life, which is neat. Joseph said, I use the anxiety edge to create a list of actionable and useful to-do items and then let go of the rest. So I use it to prepare and protect my family, then release anything else I cannot control, which is a great thought. Storm says she's reduced her intake of media to her state governor address once a day. I want to point that out. Storm brought it up, not me, because I have a Corona crush on our state governor, Governor Cuomo. And I've been tuning into him every day as well. And for me, I found that his addresses are very calming to my anxiety because he really states the facts and then his opinions, and he recognizes and acknowledges that a lot of us are feeling anxious now. So
I have a crush on your governor too.
Yeah,
I think he's really great.
And also that's been a nice, because they're every day at 11:30-ish, that's been a nice kind of scheduling piece as well. Sue, I'll fight you for him after this is all over, but he is single.
No, I'm not interested in that, but I do like him.
Okay. And I think that depends if you're a state governor or if there's an official or a news source that you're finding calms your anxiety, great. You know, if it doesn't, then don't do it. Donna has been connecting and giving love from a distance and getting love from a distance. She's been working with kids in her neighborhood and reading to them from a safe distance in costume, which is awesome. You know, a lot of the stuff I think with kids has helped me as well in the idea of they're so creative and imaginative and playful, and that's helped me get out of my anxious state as well. So I think that's always great. I left the kids in our building notes from a non-existent paleontologist who recently moved in and has to work from home, and they're all excavating fossils in their apartments now to help him out. So anything with imagination and playfulness, Donna, I think that's super great. Speaking on creativity, David says he's been working on a video shooting and editing project and some musical projects, and diving into creative projects has been a great outlet for him. So yeah, it really seems like there's been a lot of creativity and ways to smash anxiety coming out.
And you know, I said this in one of the other Lemonade sessions, but when you're living in the moment, there isn't any fear. It's when you're living either in the future or the past, and that's where fear resides. So whatever you can do to get yourself in the moment, whether it's sitting on a chair and saying, oh, how does my butt feel? How do my legs feel? You know, where are my arms? It doesn't matter what you do to get in that moment, which is why exercise is so good, because it takes you right to the moment. Meditation as well.
Yeah, and Lynn brings up a good point. Also, she realized that part of the reason she was feeling blah was because she missed her drive to and from work. And that was a time when she did most of her catching up with friends. So yesterday she took a drive and made a few calls, and she said that felt great.
Perfect.
Yeah. So keep typing those questions into the chat box if you have any questions or comments. And Annette says, love that, Sue. Big heart, thank you. Tammy's teaching herself to crochet. So we're gonna have a lot of very talented people at the end of this. Our lemon heads are gonna be super talented.
Somebody told me that they are taking a learn to play guitar online, you know, and I mean, anything that can just take you out of that thought about what's going to happen and how am I going to handle it. You're going to handle it. That's the bottom line. We always do. We handle it. And so it's just a matter of staying focused and being present, because you will get through it, and we will all handle it, every single one of us in our own ways.
So Melissa, I'm curious, as you've been switching to telehealth, have you noticed any differences in the effectiveness of therapy?
I have not. I've been doing telehealth even from before this for different reasons, new moms or kids going to college and stuff like that. I think that having a good platform has helped. So I had to play around with that in the very beginning when we were 100% telehealth, but I have not noticed any difference as far as like the effectiveness for therapy.
And if people are thinking that they may be wanting to find therapists during this time or get extra support in that realm, do you have any recommendations on how they can go about doing that, or how they should?
Yeah, they could look at either Psychology Today. That's a big one that you can type in your area code, or not area code, zip code, one of the codes, and you can look, and you can even do it by like your insurance, by location, type of issue you want to work on. It's all encompassing, really.
Great. Amy has a question, and then Marlo. So Amy says, what would you say about one idea being spread on social media that we need to be super productive during this time?
No.
No. That's what we say. No.
No, you take whatever win you get, and that's great. That's what I'm saying about those, those schedules, those, what people are doing. I mean, yeah. I think you need to do you and take care of yourself, and whatever that means for you, that's great. I would not compare.
Also, it isn't about sitting around on the couch and doing nothing. That is going to make things worse. If you want to binge watch TV and a program or a show that you wanted to see, that's great. But to just sit there and do nothing is not. So the kind of productivity is taking care of yourself, and what do you need?
That's a great transition actually into Marlo's question. Any tips for pushing myself to get motivated? Even getting out of bed and on a schedule has been hard for me right now.
Mel?
So I think that when we feel down, we have down days. I always say the depression calls us back to our bed. It's like those covers feel like arms, and that's what the depression talk is trying to get us to do. And so when you're feeling like that, you want to do the opposite. So if you feel like your depression's like, I need to lay in this bed longer, and that's going to be the best, it's really pushing yourself to do the opposite. So you need to get out of the bed. That does not make anybody happier in the long run. That makes us more depressed. So getting dressed, changing the scenery in our brains, that helps to look at something different. It kind of can get us unstuck sometimes.
You know, and sometimes depression is withheld anger. And so you may want to just take a pen and paper and I'm angry that, and just keep filling it out until it's done, and then rip it up and burn it. Because the anger is keeping you still so you don't have to feel it or express it. And if you can just write it out, that's going to help, and let go of it.
All great. And Jason's chiming in and says, take action. I found when I have no motivation that I just have to do something even when I don't have motivation. When I do it, I usually find motivation to do it again and again.
And Marla, one of the things you told me the other day is how much better you felt after you did get out of bed and do something. So just keep that memory in your mind, sweetheart, that I felt better when I got up and did something.
You've been Sue Paged. Took something you said and reminded you said it. Great. Lots of good chats coming in. Amy says that she's, I'll just read it straight from her. She said, so we don't have to come out of this having the great American novel. Woo. So good. Thank you for that permission to not be writing our novels right now. And she also says, we found a schedule to be useful to help differentiate days, but we've been gentle about how rigorously we stick to it so we don't feel like it causes more stress.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One thing I've been doing that may be helpful to other people is I've been trying to really differentiate between a weekend and a weekday, and certain things that I will do on a weekend, like have a lazy Saturday. I've been trying to put more emphasis on that. Mm-hmm. Do you have any other tips on sort of differentiating days or periods of time?
No. I mean, I'm trying to follow a really good schedule so that I know when it's Monday through Friday, and I know when it's Saturday and Sunday, and I stop at 5 o'clock almost always, so that, you know, I'm taking care of myself during those other times. And I think that there were a couple days where I had no idea what day it was and thought I was doing a lemonade session, and they're like, it's not Monday and it's not Friday. I go, well, what day is it? Tuesday. I go, oops. So, you know, to be able to have reminders somewhere about what day it is, and if I'm not mistaken, on your phone it does say your day and time, or day and date. So that's a good way to actually once a day look at your clock to say, what day is it?
Yeah, or building some kind of tradition around Mondays, or when, you know, take out Tuesdays, you know, game nights on Sunday, something like that, to have kind of like an anchor. That's something.
Yes, we're doing Taco Tuesday, so I always know that it's going to be some kind of taco night with Angel. She's cooking, so Tuesdays are tacos.
Nice. A couple of things here coming in. Trisha wants to know any tips on how to deal with 2 kids in a tiny space, online schooling, while I should be online networking and overwhelmed around it all.
Good luck. I'm teasing. Nell, you want to go, or you want me
Sure.
to?
I think having 2 kids in a small space is really hard. So I definitely can empathize with you there. I think breaking it up into manageable pieces. First, we got to stop shooting ourselves. But also, like, is it easier for them to work at the same time? Is it easier to work one at a time? Again, it really depends on your kids. I mean, I did not sign up to be a teacher. I don't know if any other moms did or dads, but I'm not good at that. So, you know, to understand and have compassion for ourselves that this is something that we kind of fell into, and we didn't necessarily decide this was like our career path. So you're not replacing the teacher. You're helping the teacher do the instruction, and you can do the best that you can. But you definitely need to pick your battles, I would say, with your kids. It doesn't have to be perfect. And, you know, knowing that we're all going to get through it.
One of the other things that I would explain to the kids is each person has a time. And so this is your time here, this is their time, and this is my time, so that you can get some of your work done while they're around. But it really is difficult. And I'm not sure how you're networking, if you're networking online or you're networking on the phone. Because on the phone can be a lot more difficult unless you decide to go for a walk. And I don't know what the weather is there, but today we had snow. So it's a little cold to go outside and make a phone call. But if you're in a better climate, then you could do that and get yourself a break. I'm also wondering, if you are married and your husband is around, if you guys are splitting that time with the kids, because that can be really helpful as well. You're splitting work times, you're splitting child time, and see if you can get a little more time for yourself there.
Amy said she heard someone say homeschooling is way different from crisis schooling, and that helped her shift her thinking. And that's such a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Karen says it's hard when I don't have my son and I'm alone for consecutive weeks to get into a groove and motivate myself.
Well, I can imagine that that is difficult, Karen, and yet you're going to have to create, like sit down and say, okay, what are the things that bring me joy? What are the things that are going to make me happy? And do those things during the times that you don't have your son. So you have a schedule for yourself during those times where he's gone. That's the only thing that I can suggest. I know it's really hard. I mean, I can't see any of my family and I miss them terribly. But I have, lung issues. And so to have any of them around is difficult. So I just have to make sure that I'm doing the things that are going to bring me as much joy as possible. You got to do the same thing. Do you want to add anything, Mel?
I think having a balance too, if there's things that you've had on your to-do list that feel like they're weighing on you and you could kind of get some of those out while he's not there, maybe might feel more of like a sense of accomplishment as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in our last few minutes, is there anything you want to share or say to wrap up?
Well, I think we both Melissa and I, had come up with some ways of sort of taking care of yourself in those difficult times. So for me, I don't have a lot of time to read, but I'll go first. So these are really cute little cards. They're called Wisdom Oracles, and they give you things that you can focus on for the day. There are so many decks of cards out there that could help you get distracted and help you grow at the same time. So there's ones for food, eating, growth of all kinds. And so possibly they aren't very expensive, picking up a deck of some kind. Of course, we always have pages of wisdom. I'm gonna pick something for you today, just out of the blue. The only thing that stands between you and what you want in life is simply the will to pursue it and the faith to believe it's possible. And so just turning to a page, and then there's all this writing on the other side, you can't probably see it, that kind of explains that. And so being able to choose a book that you really like and just pick a page to read a day that will support you. Another one I have is this, Miracle Mornings, and it's how to start your day. What's something that you can do that brings you to a start in the day, even if you have children and you have to get up early in order to start your day. Doing something like that is really great. Another one is Joy is My Compassion. You want to read books that are going to bring you joy, or my compass, I'm sorry. Joy is my compass, I can't even read. Having books that are going to bring you a sense of peace, a sense of calmness, joy. You want to find those kind of books to read. The other one, and this is great, is this is called Gratitude, A Way of Life by Louise Hay. This is an amazing book that you can go through day by day and every day read about something that other people are grateful for, as well as ways and things to look at to be grateful. Because even with all this going on, I can find things that I'm absolutely grateful for, and so could you. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I'm grateful for Turin for your friendship. I'm grateful to Melissa, for her friendship as well. You know, you can find it. And when I'm feeling gratitude, it's hard for me to feel fear. Mel, did you want to bring some other things? I'm sorry I keep calling you Mel, but
You can call me Mel.
you are
Fine.
to me. Mel.
Fine. Yeah, so there's a cute little quiz on compassion, selfcompassion.org. If you just want to do like a little quiz on how you're doing with your own self-compassion, because I think that's really important. And then bringing it back a little old school to undergrad, I would say there's this great little trick with building your self-worth and self-esteem. And especially during these times, I think it's a great exercise. Basically what you do is you just list 3 things you've done today. It could be anything. So I have, gotten up, ate lunch before I got on here, and I took a shower. So then I would write those 3 things down. Then the next thing I would write are what kind of attributes does somebody who does those things have? And then I would pick the ones that I feel like are most like me. And then eventually what you do is you get kind of a list and a pattern of some of the characteristics that are yours that you can own, instead of looking for other people to kind of tell you like, hey, I really like this about you. You could say, hey, this is what I do. It's tied to an action. It's something that I recognize. And you can do it for multiple days, and it really is a game changer.
Love that. You also, there was another thing that smells good that you do.
I use soap.
No.
I mean, hopefully, yes, also.
The candles?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
I have my candle going. So this, so being at home, it's a lot different than being in my office. And at first I was kind of like, oh, this doesn't feel as calming as it did, in my own space. So then I ordered some candles, and it's made such a huge difference in just smelling that and having kind of an ambiance of it being calm.
We have, she and I have the same candles from the same candle maker, although my thing came off. Edgewater Candles. It's a grad, Mark Towns, who makes these candles. They're amazing. So I'm plugging you, Mark, out there.
There's also a Calm app that's free, calm.com, that can do meditations. YouTube has them. YouTube even has some for kids. If you guys need them for your kids, there's some for sleep. So there's definitely meditations, and it doesn't have to be a fancy meditation. As long as you're paying attention to any part of your body and you're focusing on that counts as meditation. I just want to encourage that
and
as well.
You can teach, there's waking meditations, there's walking meditations, there's all kinds of meditations. And sometimes, people think, oh, I've got to close my eyes and sit here and be quiet. And that's not true. Scrubbing a floor is a meditation. It's anything that you're doing that's repetitive, frees your mind up. And that's what you want to do.
I'm partial to the napping meditation, but I guess that's just a nap. Awesome. Thank you so much. And just want to chime in that we also got another suggestion, lots of suggestions coming in. But one is for the compassion fatigue deck. Amy suggests that one. And just by the name of it, it sounds wonderful. So actually, you've just talked about a number of things that can be ordered online. And that's a perfect segue to what I was going to say, which is my wrap up. Pathways would like to thank Pathways to a Better World for funding the Lemonade sessions. And if you find value in these sessions and have the financial means to make a donation of any denomination, please consider contributing at pathwaystoabetterworld.com. And the tie to purchasing online is that if you shop on Amazon, you can sign up to donate through smile.amazon.com. It doesn't cost you anything. It just takes a tiny bit of profit out of Amazon's purse and sends it over to Pathways to a Better World. So highly suggest doing that. You go to smile.amazon.com and then you add Pathways to a Better World as your recipient. And it's that simple. And a portion of your purchase then goes to support Pathways to a Better World. So
that is the organization that really gives financial support to grads that or to people that want to do the seminars and can't financially afford it. So.
And speaking of seminars, we have a new seminar coming out online. I am pumped. I will be there. I don't know which one yet, but it is Fix Your Picker. It is coming to an internet device near you. We will be posting the information on our page, but May 5th and 12th in the evenings will be one session, and also, so that's weeknights, and then May 9th and 16th will be a morning afternoon session on the weekends. So if you are thinking, you know what, let's at least come out of this with my picker fixed, and I am saying picker, then keep an eye out. It's going to be awesome. There will be a deal if you sign up with a friend or family member, or I was going to say partner, but probably don't want to sign up with your partner for Fix Your Picker. Anyway, so super excited about that. Sue is always available for one-on-one coaching, couples coaching, anything like that. So you can email office@Pathways Seminars, make sure there's 2 S's.com. And we will see you back here on, I was going to say Friday, but nope, Monday, with another great topic. So looking forward to chatting with all of you and seeing all of you soon. And as we log off, just
wait, I want to say one more thing. If
okay,
you want Melissa's information, please just email me at the office and you'll get her information for her telehealth.
Yeah. Awesome. And do you have to be an Illinois resident?
No, not for telehealth.
Great. Awesome. Good to know. Great. Thank you to all. Jason says, thanks, ladies. Lots of love. Lynn says, thank you all. Trisha says, thanks so much, ladies. Heart emoji, flower emojis. Great class. Great seminar topic. Sue says, not you, Sue. Thank you, Trin, Sue, Melissa, and the Pathways for a Better World board. We got a hell yes for Fix Your Picker. And everyone, Danny.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So thank you all. Stay safe. And we will see you all coming up in our next session. So stay safe, stay indoors. And we will see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.